It's Beer O'Clock, and this is the Beer O'Clock show, where every week we take a bottle of the Blessed Amber and discuss its various merits. My name is Mark, and joining me is my beer mentor, and a man without need of introduction, because I can't think of a funny one, Steve. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, my friend.
Very good, very good. We've got a very interesting show tonight. We are going to be reviewing the Vienna IPA, which is the winner of the Thornbridge Waitrose homebrew contest, and we have some special guests joining us a little bit later in the show to drink it with us. But before we get to that, Steve, what have you been drinking in the last week, mate?
Yeah, quite a bit actually. I didn't think I'd had anything that remarkable, and then I remembered that I was out in Leeds last week with Rob from Hopzine, who was on a few weeks ago, and Si, the Leeds beer wolf, and also a guy who goes by the name of @mostly about beer on Twitter as well, who's just created the new craft beer hour on a Tuesday between 9 and 10 p.m. So we all met up in Leeds, and we went over to the Northern Monk Refectory, which is basically Northern Monk Brewery's tap house, and then proceeded to drink my way through the taps over there, trying as much Northern Monk beer as possible. Some good beers, actually. I tried everything from English Pale Ales, American IPAs, Porters, Russian Imperial Stout, the lot, really. Went through all their taps. It's well worth a visit, though, if you're in Leeds. Check out the Northern Monk Refectory.
Yeah, I was going to say, before you move on, that I quite liked seeing your photos of the refectory coming through on Instagram. Many taps, many beers. Yes,
it's a really impressive little place. It's got it's managed to pull off that kind of feel to it that it's hard to describe. You just know. I mean, this was a Tuesday night that we were in there, so there was probably about half a dozen people in there. But you can imagine, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, the place would be buzzing, and there'd be a really good vibe in there. So I think that's going to go places. I think that's going to be one of the must-visit places on future trips to Leeds. What else did I drink this week? The only other thing of note that I want to mention was I finally got my hands on a bottle of the Reale Extra, which we were very excited to find out existed when we reviewed the Reale. And mate, I've got you a bottle as well. You are going to absolutely love it. It was like drinking alcoholic mango juice. It was really, really nice. It was exactly what I hoped it would be after trying the Reale. So yeah, that was about it for me this last week. I don't suppose you've been drinking anything, have you? Because you only freeload on the beers that we get for the show.
Yeah, I've only got a couple more beers left on the beer shelf because that's all you gave me for the shows this year. No, I had saying that I did only have one beer during the week, which is a bottle of Tickle Monster, which again you gave me. Thank you very much, mate. Which apparently has mango in it, but I couldn't taste the mango in it at all. And I was a little bit disappointed.
Did you get lumps in your glass, though? That's the important thing. Did you get nice big bits of mango floating around in your glass?
No, I didn't. It was a bit cloudy.
Okay. You must have poured it better than I did then.
Yeah, well, after your tales of getting basically fruit salad in your pint glass, I was very careful with how I poured my beer.
Oh, so you do listen to me sometimes.
I listen to you all the time, Stephen. But what else? No, I had another one. I tell a lie, which is I had the Thornbridge Chiron. Is that how you pronounce it?
Chiron.
On
Thornbridge Chiron.
Saturday night. For what is labelled as just a pale, you get a nice smack of hops from that. It was really nice.
Yeah, I had one of those at the weekend as well. I kind of, the first thing that went through my mind was, this is like Halcyon Light.
Yeah.
Which was all I could seem to think of at the time. But yeah, a pretty decent beer. And another decent Thornbridge beer.
Yep. Right. Shall we move on to something that people have been waiting for a few weeks now, which is the competition results from our little Beer 52 competition that we launched a few weeks ago. Do you want to run through what the competition is again, Stephen?
Yeah, basically there were 3 competitions to win 3 boxes of beer. There was one that we ran on Twitter, which was a simple click here and enter competition. Then there was a competition to leave a comment on episode 86, from which we'd select a random winner. And then there was the winners of the last few weeks' worth of prizes have all gone into a grand finale, which I believe you're going to select the winner for. So should we start with that? Or should we start with that one, or should we build up to that?
We're going to build up to that one.
Which of the 3 competitions do you think is most hotly anticipated?
Probably the Twitter one, because that's the one that was easiest to enter.
Okay, well, we'll do that first then, because that's the one that could very well go to somebody that doesn't really follow us or care about beer, because it was a basic Twitter competition. So we were running that through Rafflecopter. So on Rafflecopter, we can just, from the 50 or so entries that we had for that competition, we can just get it to select a random winner. So I'm just going to click that button now, and it's generating some winner's name. And sorry, do I need to wait for you to finish?
No, right.
Sorry, it's a bit of an anticlimax.
I was just doing my...
Owen White, you're the winner of our Twitter competition. Owen, if you do listen to the show, get in touch and let us have your address so we can pass it on to Beers52. If you're on Twitter, let us have your @ as well, and we can shout about you winning the prize on Twitter. So the next one is the podcast competition. We had some interesting comments on episode 86, some relevant to the show, some not so, some praising your genius of pips.
Good on you, Ian.
As well. So
good on you, mate.
So we've got 10 entries there, and it's been a while, mate. So we're going to fire up the random number generator to give us a winner for this. So let's just fire up the random number generator. Here we go. We're putting in the parameters, and it's giving us a number. It's number 7.
Number 7.
Let's go down my list. Number 7 is Clay. And I'm assuming that'll be Clayfish. At Clayfish. Clay Chisholm. Clay, congratulations, mate. Beer on its way to you. And the third competition, the last few weeks' worth of winners of the Prize This Prize. Mark, I sent you all of these pictures last week.
You did?
And it's up to you to select the winner here.
It's been tough.
So have I got to do some sort of drum roll now?
Right, well, these have been the last 3 weeks' worth of Prize This Prize winners, right?
Yes.
And
although last week it was a draw because I couldn't split the 2 pictures.
Yeah, so I have 4 to choose from, and they're all stunning picks. But the one I'm going for is probably it's the nicest one for me. It's classy. It looks neat, really well done. They didn't try anything too arty-farty with it. So I'm going for @Fantastic Films, picture of the Brewdog 5 AM Red Ale on a pure white background with the red bottle top in the back, and it is proper class. So there you go.
Interesting. But I could see why you've gone for it, actually, because it does, in terms of the image and the colours in it, it's the one that stands out the most, I think.
So, congratulations, fantastic film.
I think honourable mentions to as well. I think if we had put that out to the Twitter sphere to vote, I think the general populace would have gone for Sean Smith's picture in front of the fire, because that was the one because we did put these up on Instagram last week, and a lot of people were commenting that they did like that one.
Yeah, I mean the others. There's a reason why they won the Prize This Prize. They're all really good. I almost went with Justin's one of Holyrood in front of the castle. Just because it looks really nice. But I couldn't get past the 5 AM. It was just done really nicely.
A worthy winner.
So
a worthy winner.
There you go. Right, Steve. Do we have any news, mate?
There's not really news as such this week because Brewdog haven't released anything for me to read like a script, so I can't give any news this week. But there are a couple of corrections from a couple of bits that we did in last week's podcast that I just want to update people in. So Justin announced that the Rule of Thirds launch would be on Saturday the 22nd of November at Beavertown Brewery. It's actually on Saturday the 29th of November at Beavertown Brewery. The second one is we announced the details of the Crimbo Crawl last week as well, that would be starting at Beavertown. Beavertown have since changed their opening times to open a little bit later.
Bastards.
And close a little bit later. And because of that, it means we're no longer starting at Beavertown, because it would just knock everything else so out of sync that we wouldn't make the route.
Yeah.
So we'll now be starting the Crimbo Crawl at the Hop and Berry in Islington at 1 p.m. From there, we'll be going to Brewhouse and Kitchen Islington, where we've got an exclusive Meet the Brewer session with Pete Hughes from the microbrewery in the pub. I think Pete's also then going to join us on the rest of the crawl. We're then going from there to the Euston Tap, and then from the Euston Tap to Brewdog in Shepherd's Bush. So all the details are up on the website, though. Just click on the tab at the top that says Crimbo Crawl.
So 4 bars instead of 5, but that means we can fit more beers into each bar.
It means we can have a little bit more time in each bar, yeah. And it means when we get to the Brewhouse and Kitchen, it's quite a site to this brewery at the back of the pub. So it also means we'll be able to give that justice, and if people want to spend some time chatting to Pete about the equipment and the setup there, we've got the opportunity to do that. So yeah, just a little bit more time to factor in.
Very good. Right, like I said at the beginning of the show, this episode is a very special one because we have a very special beer and 2 very special blokes to come and talk to us about it. It is the Vienna IPA from Thornbridge, which is the winner of the Great British Homebrew Challenge 2014, which was held by Thornbridge and Waitrose. That competition was won by this beer and by the brewer Graham Nelson. Hello, Graham.
Hello. And
joining us, very special guest, is the head brewer of Thornbridge and a man who has brewed many beers that we've enjoyed many times on this show, Rob Lovatt. Hello, Rob.
Hi there, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for joining us, both of you. So why don't we just get straight into talking about this beer in particular. Graham, why did you choose this particular style for the competition? And can you tell us a little bit about how you came to this recipe and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I saw. First of all, I'd say I'm quite a novice at home brewing. I've only been doing it a year, and I saw the competition advertised on Twitter, naturally. I think it was April or May or so, and I thought, well, I've got to have a go at that. That sounds fantastic. Thornbridge being one of my favourite breweries, the opportunity to have the beer on the shelf in Waitrose, I thought, why not? So it's quite. I think it's quite difficult, sort of deciding what beer to enter for a beer competition. It's probably the sort of hardest part of it. So I kind of had a little look at it, and I thought it was sort of totally wide open. You could make just about anything for this one, as long as it was an ale, basically, as far as I could see. So I just kind of thought, in for a penny, in for a pound, and sort of had a look at the categories, and I thought, it's, as far as I can see, that it's quite likely that the winning beer will come out of the strong ales category. I thought it's a good chance of that happening. So I just thought I'll try and make something that fits in that category, not too outrageous, and just sort of a clean and tidy beer that would be in with a chance. I thought if I could make something that's clean and tidy, nice and hoppy, and nothing too sort of wild and sort of weird styles or anything like that, that I've got to be in with a chance. I thought, if I can get into the top, say 10-20%, then it's all down to a bit of luck after that. And obviously in the event, that's what happened. It was great. The luck was on my side.
Yeah, so you ended up brewing this, which is in a 5.9% ABV IPA.
Yeah.
I'm going to crack it open now and get into it.
Yes, I've been looking forward to this.
I'm nervous now.
for weeks. Oh, come on, Graham! You made it through hundreds of people entering this competition, and got it to the point where it's actually available on the shelves in Waitrose. Surely there's no more nerves anymore.
Well, maybe not. Maybe. Let's see what you think.
I mean, you must have been quite pleased at the reaction, because I know when in that first week when it was launched, the stuff was like gold dust. You couldn't get it anywhere, and we got in touch with Thornbridge and we managed to get the stockist list, and even people were going to those stockists and they were saying no, it's already gone. And I remember speaking to my local Waitrose, and the guy said to me, he was like, literally, we can't get enough of it in quick enough. It's just going straight off the shelves. That must have been a moment where you must have found yourself stood there going, what the hell?
It was actually, yeah. I mean, I was in exactly the same boat. I went to Thornbridge for the bottling day, and naturally arrived back home with a few bottles in the back of the car, like you'd expect. Those lasted about 4 days. I'm sorry to admit. So after that, I was just trawling around the shops, and it was I think I went to about 4 Waitroses, and I learned a bit about how supermarket distribution works as well, because we had a date when it was set. It was like a release date, and I sort of later found out that's not the same thing as when it's on the shelf. So in my naivety, I thought it was. So I was there. I think I went to Waitrose in Altrincham and sort of asked if they had any the beer, and the guy went off to check, and it was sort of later. I thought about it. I thought that it's a bit. Do you remember J.R. Hartley from the adverts, who goes to trying to find a copy of his own book? I felt like him. Sort of going into the shop trying to find your own beer. So it was quite a thing. Just had sort of chatting away to all these people in Waitrose, and they're all very interested, and various branches. So finally managed to get some in Cheadle Hulme, I think, near Manchester, and then then it sort of started appearing a bit more reliably in all the shops. So it's all good stuff.
Yeah, I was back in Waitrose at the weekend, and they seem to be very well stocked with it now. So
right.
There's obviously, maybe this is one for you, Rob. How much of this has been produced? Is it going to be widely available for a few months, or is it a case of once these bottles that we're now seeing on the shelves are gone, that's it?
I'm not 100% sure really, because I don't deal with that side of things. I just get sort of a work ticket to brew it, so it'd be nice if it was. But yeah, I think we've done 2 batches, so that's 10,000 litres so far. And if Waitrose want more, I suppose we'll make some more. And we've got all the hop. I think I've got enough Citra to see us through if we need to do another few batches. So it's really down to sort of other departments, not mine really, unfortunately.
Okay, and what was it like for you? I suppose essentially brewing somebody else's recipe. Is this the first time Thornbridge have been involved in this competition, or has this happened before and I've just not seen it?
No, we've done it the year before. We held the competition as well. It's not the first time I've brewed other people's beers. In past life, I even brewed one of Green King's beers under license, which an experience. But
an uncomfortable silence descends over the beer o'clock show at that moment.
Just interested to
see
what
to say to that.
It's interesting what goes in it. But no, the competition was brilliant. I tasted something like 300 beers over 4 days, and I couldn't really do it. I would have been there for a month if I thought. So it was pretty fast tasting. I just did it when I remember Graham's beer came. That beer and another beer, both of them, I picked them out on the first taste. I was they'll do well. They'll probably get to the finals, and there was a lot of horrors as well. So the overall standard was fairly good, but Graham's beer, and there was a few other guys that you could tell straight away that they were solid. And then the competition itself, we managed to get some really good judges to judge the final, the beers that we put through. And there was sort of Victoria Moore from Telegraph. She's got a great palate. There was Greg from the Homebrew UK. Yeah, there's a whole load of people, and I was really impressed with everyone's palates, how good they were, and it was a good competition, and I hope we do it again.
So in terms of this beer, I mean, this is one of the questions I started asking earlier and then stopped myself. Obviously it's Graham's beer, it's Graham's recipe, and it's now being brewed by Thornbridge, I guess, under license or as part of the competition. So whose beer is it? When I come to checking this in on Untapped later, who's going to be the brewery that pops up? Am I going to see Thornbridge or am I going to see Graham Nelson? Which?
Thornbridge.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah.
I am. It's under Thornbridge. Yeah, it's just in that. I think there's been something like I do look at Untapped. I think there's been sort of nearly 200 odd ratings on there. I do have a little, little peek, as you might expect, and there's it's mostly favourable. You get a wide range of opinions on that thing. It's quite interesting. From there's people complaining there's not enough hops in it, and people saying it's very hoppy. And
where have you read? Where was that again?
On Untapped.
Oh, Untapped. All right, okay.
Oh, it's average rating of 3.7. That's pretty up there with a lot of with pretty much most beers on Untapped actually. Yeah. I think they all average out at about 3.7. So you must be fairly pleased with that.
I think the ratings are weird, aren't they, on Untapped? I think like the worst beer in the world gets about 3.4 and 3.8 is about as good as it gets. So it's I think we're doing okay. Yeah, it's not too bad.
Can I just say that I just checked it in and I got 2 badges. So thank you very much, guys.
There you go.
Double badge.
Double badge.
The live double badge wanker. Honestly, it's fantastic stuff. Graham, how close is this beer that we're tasting tonight to your original recipe? So the bottles that you entered into a competition, you obviously know what they tasted like, and then you got to compare this one that had been brewed on a much bigger scale on a professional kit by people that are employed full time to brew it. How close were the 2 beers in terms of tastes? Were you able to do a side by side tasting of them?
I don't remember doing a side-by-side tasting. I think I've got about 3 bottles of wine left, but they're probably getting a bit long in the tooth by now. You could tell it was definitely the same recipe. You could tell that there was the sort of hop, the flavours and everything were familiar. It was just I think I said to somebody asked me the same question, and I said it's almost as though it was my recipe made by a big proper brewery that know what they're doing, and funny about that, yeah. So you could tell it's the same thing, but it was just sort of had all the little edges taken off, and it was a really polished article that you'd expect, yeah.
So what is in the beer? Because I think Robbie mentioned Citra earlier. Is that the only hop that's in there, or is there anything else? No.
It's 3 hops: Citra, Atarnum, and Columbus. I wanted to sort of try and get a beer that was a little bit, not sort of terribly light colour. Yeah, and I think from Columbus you get people call it a dank flavour that you get. So that's what we did.
So what do you think of the beer so far, Steve?
I'm really enjoying it. Unsurprisingly, it's got everything that I like about IPAs in it. It's got that really, really big, refreshing hit of all of the different hops coming off it straight away. It's interesting that Graham just mentioned there about the Columbus giving it the dankness, because that's an aroma that when I did the Stone Enjoy by back in the summer, that I got that from straight away. So it's got very similar aromas to that. and then you take a taste of it, and you just get the big citra flavour comes through. It just hits you in the chops straight away, and the finish on it is, it's just got a hint of bitterness on it, but it's just such a smooth finish. This is a really, really incredible beer. I can understand why a lot of the people that we engage with on Twitter and that chat to us here on the show have all been saying they can't get enough of this, and they're going back in for more and more. And I can see that, and I'm a bit upset that I've only got a bottle left upstairs on the shelf. I'm going to have to get to Waitrose again and clear their shelves out if there's no more of this coming, because this is stunning. Well done, Graham.
Thank you very much.
This is a really, really good beer. And Rob, of course, for upscaling it and putting it into your branding and into your style as well. Really, really accomplished beer. And I was actually really surprised to hear you say earlier that you've only been brewing for a year, Graham, as well. Only been home brewing for a year.
Yeah.
That knocked me a little bit, actually.
I was just thinking about it before. There's so many things I haven't, beers I've never made yet. I've never made a lager. Never made a saison or anything like that.
Don't bother making.
I think all I did when I started home brewing was sort of, I've got to say, I probably wasn't very adventurous with the beer types, just mainly pale ales. I do like a nice black IPA, so I've made a few of those, and really just sort of trying to make, just trying to run before, walk before I can run, kind of thing. Just getting rid of all the any mistakes, any off taste, things like that, and just trying to make them as neat and tidy as I possibly could, and sort of do that first, and then and sort of then sort of see where I'm at after that. So I've just really been making kind of the same thing over and over again, really, just pale ales, and sort of fairly standard styles.
Isn't that part of the attraction of homebrewing, though, that you brew the style that you like so that you can drink it at a much cheaper rate than you can actually buy beer?
Well, I guess so, yeah. I mean, really, there's no right or wrong answer, is it? You can do what do whatever you want. I think a lot of people get pleasure out of making sort of really unusual beers. Not something I've sort of interested me too much at the moment. So I just quite like trying to make the same ones, but just as well as I possibly can. Maybe one day I will, sort of start making slightly more unusual things. In the future, I'm definitely going to keep on with it. It's it's a really, really, really good hobby.
And Rob, talking of brewing a range of unusual things and good beers, you guys brew quite a range up there at Thornbridge now, don't you?
Yeah, we do a massive range of beers, and it's really hard work trying to make sure that they're as consistent as I'd like them to be. I know a good friend of mine, he works at one of the leading craft breweries in London. He always says to me, he says, I do not know how you manage to do the amount of beers that you guys do and do them so well. And I don't know how we manage it sometimes, but I mean, what's key for us really is our QA. We're really heavily, we kind of apply big brewery mentality towards craft beer, which is what makes our beer consistent. We invest in the people that we've got working for us. So we've got a really good, strong team that looks after each other and looks after the beer. And we have time to sort of make sure that we can research the styles that we want to make, that we can make sure that we've got the best ingredients, and we can continually review stuff. So that's what enables us to have such a large range of beers. And I think this year, Christmas this year, we're offering 12 beers on our, so you can buy a case of 12 different beers, and they're not just a variation on a normal, on a bitter. They're 12 very different beers, and I think that's something really special to be able to offer our customers.
That's a 12 beers of Christmas sorted then, Steve.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that box go live last week, and I was really impressed with the fact that, as you say, it's not just here you go have 12 bottles of beer. It's 12 different bottles of beer that showcase your entire range.
Yeah.
And for anybody that's really into their beer, I mean that would be a fantastic present for anybody this Christmas.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and you know, there's only one beer that we missed out on. I wanted to get in there, which was the Beer de Garde, but because I had trouble with the yeast, so I've just paid for a, you know, it was a platinum range yeast from White Labs, which they only make once a year, so they're just sending me a slope over, and we'll prop it up in our lab. But that's the only beer that's not going to be in there, but that should be available after Christmas. So.
And as you're the head brewer at Thornbridge, how does that mean you're still fairly hands-on with all of the brewing, or do you kind of now just oversee the brewing process? What's your role? What sort of role do you play?
No, I haven't brewed for years, so yeah, no, just overseeing really. So making sure that, you know, sourcing ingredients, making sure the guys are doing what they should be doing, that the QA procedures are being stuck to, looking where we're going in the future, expansions, you know, because we're expanding again, making sure we get the best equipment, that we get the right people in, you know. So yeah, that's my role really. I mean, you wouldn't get. It's just, you know, it's like running a really a Michelin star kitchen. You just make sure you wouldn't be only doing any of the cooking yourself. You just make sure you're surrounded by the best chefs, you know, and that's the kind of way things roll.
And you say you haven't brewed yourself for years. Do you miss it? Do you miss getting hands on and brewing?
No, not really. I'm too old for that. It's too physical.
Quite happy just to point everybody else around and tell them what to do.
Yeah.
How big is your brewing team, Rob?
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of guys that have taken me, I'd say, at least 2 years to get where we want them to be. So that's why I'm really keen. Don't want to be losing staff. You know, you hear about a lot of these craft breweries that just go through staff, you know, all the time because they're not happy with the working conditions, and it's, you know, long hours and not paid enough. And that's something that it's been really key for me to make sure we retain staff, so to motivate them, reward them, engage them, and well, I hope that's you know, we've got a pretty good retention rate, so I'm pretty sure I'm hoping they are happy working there. So there's those 4 guys who are my sort of key guys. We've got a new brewer in as well, and hopefully he'll be up to that sort of standard within a year. And then we got a load of probably about 5 guys on the floor that sort of do all working on the bottling line and cask cleaning, but they're really diligent guys. So yeah, that's about 10 of us in total, really. Yeah.
And you say you're about to expand again?
Yeah, that's right.
What does that mean for the brewery?
We currently brew twice 5 days a week, and we wanted to go up to 3 or 4 times a day. So it's just enabling us to mash in more often. So it's more tanks and modifications to the brew house, because at the moment we can only mash in every 6 hours, and we really need to mash in, you know, much more frequently in that. And as a company, we've decided not to go on to 24-hour brewing, because I just don't think that's fair on people's lives, and we would end up with a shift mentality, and we want people to be making the right decisions, not the wrong decisions, you know, when they're stuck there at 3 o'clock in the morning. So it's going to be a hit to us as a company, not to do 24-hour brewing, but we think it's the right thing to do in terms of retaining our staff and making sure that they're happy, you know, and then they'll make decent beer, you know. That's our sort of philosophy.
Do you have any more questions, Steve?
No, I'm merrily sinking my way to the bottom of this beer right now. I know Graham's not got any, which I find strange, because I think I mentioned earlier. It's I kind of from my point of view, I viewed this competition a bit like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where you got to go into the brewery and you came out with a life supply of the beer. What did that not happen, Graham? Did Thornbridge not say to you, "Here you go"?
I did keep
beer
Graham
for the rest of the yard.
He needs to stop off again, and then I'll give him some more. So yeah.
I think Rob's been enjoying the beer with us tonight. Rob, are you able to give a unbiased opinion of the beer?
Yeah, I mean, happy. Yeah, very happy with it. I think what's Graham's beers stood out because I always think because it's kind of a magic number for me. If you've got that 5.9, which is what Jaipur is, Graham's beers 5.9, and sort of 55, 60 EBUs, it's a really special kind of combination. So I like that in a beer. That level of alcohol and that level of bitterness is just right. The malt that the malt that we use is Simpson's malt, which is, to me, is Marisosta, a local Marisosta, which is really good malt, and it just shines through. And the hops that Graham chose have worked really well. Columbus, to me, I like Columbus. It's kind of really skunky and almost marijuana-like. Citra, if it's used right, I'm not a massive fan of 100% Citra beers, but I always describe Citra as sort of a modern hop profile because that's what sort of the kids like these days. But it works well with the other hops in that, with the Eternum, which is a bit more earthy, and the Columbus, and so yeah, it's just a really balanced beer, and modern hop profile. And fresh, it's a great beer. It's really good.
Yeah, it's really nice.
You know what? For me, and I will let Mark have an opinion on this in a minute. And this is going to come as probably no surprise to anybody that listens to the show or knows me. And people are probably going to be surprised that I've got this far through the show without mentioning it. But the aroma that I'm left with in my glass reminds me of Halcyon, and I am an absolute Halcyon fanboy, Rob. It's up there as one of my top 3 beers, and to be left with that in the glass from what was originally a homebrew, hats off to all that were involved in this process.
Yeah. Well, we've just brewed a new beer actually, and it's still in tank at the moment, and it's the English version of Halcyon, really. So that could be an interesting one for you to try if you're a massive Halcyon fan. So.
I think Steve might be knocking on your door tomorrow morning.
Yeah, so it's all it's similar. It's similar grist, but slightly darker. Same bitterness levels, same alcohol, but just 100% Challengers, which is quite a pungent English hop. So same as in Coniston Bluebird's Challenger, which it's a good beer. So yeah, I mean, see what you think. I mean, that should be out in a few weeks, yeah.
And that's going into bottles as well.
No, just keg this time, unfortunately. But next,
okay,
put it into bottle. Yeah.
So keep my eye out for that one. And,
yeah.
And of course, the obvious question. The obvious question. There's more Halcyon coming soon, isn't there? Please.
We bottled.
Because I'm getting withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah, we did 10,000 litres last week. We're doing 10,000 next week. So yeah, that's big. That's a fair amount of Halcyon. Yeah.
Oh, Christmas has just come early.
Steve will put his name down for 1,000.
I don't even have that beer in the house. Too strong.
I had to pass on the last time you released it because the beer shelf was already bowing in the middle.
Yeah.
But there's no way I'm getting through Christmas without a crate of Halcyon on this house, that's for sure. Mark, final thoughts on the beer, mate?
Yeah, it's lovely. You get that big citrus flavour, but it's tempered by like an edge of tropical fruit for me, and a lovely crisp but balanced maltiness in the background. It's a 5.9% IPA, pretty easy for an IPA. Came across really fresh, really lovely. I gave it 4 bottle caps on Untapped. It deserves 4 bottle caps in my opinion. I've drained my glass. I could go for another one. It's a superb IPA. It's like that, like Rob was saying, that alcohol content, 5.9, is just the right midpoint for me for an IPA. You get that, you get the big hops, but otherwise it's really drinkable and really easy going. Well done, guys.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it is a good it's just sort of a good place for beer, isn't it? That kind of strength and that kind of thing. It's just you can sort of really play around with beer at that kind of strength. It's also the easiest kind of strength I find to make for a homebrew. Make any beer that's kind of 5 to 6% is just really easy to make. I find anything less than that gets sort of has its own challenges. And anything sort of getting more than that sort of has different challenges, and I tend to find that those kind of beers around 5 to 6% have the least challenges to a home brewer, which is why I make a lot of them.
So Graham, are you planning to? Will you brew this beer as a home brew again, or are you scared to now in case you can't match what currently exists?
You could just write Thornbridge on the label as well.
Yeah, I've never made the same thing twice. Not exactly. I actually did. It's funny. After winning the competition, I didn't. I made one brew about a week later. After making the Vienna, and I was a little bit ambitious. I tried to make I think it was a 10.5% sort of triple IPA for a friend's birthday party, and it just went horribly wrong. I just got it. It's just a nightmare. There's so many hops in the fermenting vessel. I just couldn't get the stuff out. It all got bunged up, and that was an absolute disaster. So, and that was it. Then I didn't do a homebrew then for about 3 months, for sort of various reasons, moving house and all sorts of things. And then just did my first one for a while last weekend, which is just finished fermenting now. I'm going to pop over after this and just get it in the fridge, get it cooling down. And that's I nearly made the same thing again, but you're right, I didn't quite didn't quite go for that. Not entirely sure why. So it's similar again, around about 5% IPA. So I need to maybe get some more strings to my bow. I don't know.
Well, Graham, I've got a challenge or or a request maybe.
Go on then.
We do a homebrew show every season on the Beer O'Clock Show. This season's one is coming up in a couple of weeks. We've already got our homebrewers sorted for that. Would you be willing to come on to next season's homebrew show with whatever beer you've brewed for that show, and to come on with a couple of other homebrewers and just chat about homebrewing? Yeah,
sure thing. Yeah, absolutely. Although I am a professional brewer now, by the way. I don't know if you know.
That's okay. We've had semi-professionals on before.
Fair enough. No, I'm still going to keep home brewing, so that's fine.
Yeah, no, it'd be really cool to have you come back on with another one of your beers and just chat again, just chat about beer with us, because that's what we like to do.
Great stuff. I'll be there. Let me know.
Excellent. I will do. I shall be in touch with details.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's much appreciated. It's really nice to meet you and to drink your beer.
Cheers, guys. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, no problem. It's a pleasure.
Thanks, Graham. Thanks, Rob.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks both for your time. Really appreciate giving it up for us. Thank you.
No worries.
That was a great beer. So thanks to Graham Nelson, who's I should have let him do his Twitter call out, which was @ArrowSales. And Rob Lovatt, who's the head brewer from Thornbridge. Thanks very much, chaps, for joining us this week. And that's the Vienna IPA, which you can purchase in Waitrose, the winner of the 2014 Great British Homebrew Challenge, 5.9% ABV. Absolutely, that gorgeous Citra without being pure Citra. It was such a nicely balanced IPA, that. Yeah, and like I was saying...
all over that, mate.
Yeah, that 5.9%, I meant to say that's an ABV where it's enough so you feel like you're getting your money's worth, but it's not enough to stop you drinking it all night.
It's almost like Session Plus.
A Session Plus, yeah.
You've got your session, you've got your Session IPA, which comes in at about 4.5, approaching 5%. and then you've got this, and then you start getting into your silly ABV territory.
Yeah.
But this was, I would get out and find a Waitrose now that's stocking this, and seriously clear the shelves of it.
Absolutely.
Because it's an incredible beer, and it doesn't sound as though it's going to be around for a long time.
Indeed. Right, let's head towards the finish line, mate. Do we have an Instagram of the week prizeless prize?
Of course we have an Instagram of the week, mate. There's always an Instagram of the week, and it's back to being a prizeless prize this week. There is nothing for winning it other than the fame and the honour and the pride of being this week's prizeless prize winner. This week goes to a previous winner, but someone who hasn't won for a while, and someone whose name I can pronounce these days as well. Son of a Gun. Son of a Gun has won this week's prizeless prize. There were two pictures, and I couldn't really split them, but I'm probably going to go for the picture of the can of Founders IPA in front of a flowing river. Just stunning imagery, and you can see that on our Instagram feed, and it's also in tonight's show notes. The prizeless prize is always hyperlinked in the show notes, so you can always click through to Instagram to see it if you love a bit of beer porn.
And can I just say a big thank you for Son of a Gun for waking me up from a nap on the weekend, because he must have gone through my untapped history and toasted every single fucking beer that I've drunk in the last month, and my phone went berserk. I thought the alarm was going off, but no, it was my notifications coming up for every single toast that he did on every single beer. But it's nice to get a little bit of attention.
Yes.
Right. The Beer O'Clock Show is proud to be supported by Ales by Mail, your premier destination for bottled real ales delivered directly to your door. Visit alesbymail.co.uk and use the code BOCS10 for a 10% discount. Steve, what is coming up next week, matey?
Next week we are going IPA mental as we are running in towards the end of this season. Next week we are doing the much applauded, by me anyway, 5 Points IPA. It's now had its official release. People remember me banging on about it a number of times, and I think I may have even said at one point that it was up there with Cannonball. This is the second new improved batch. This is the batch that 5 Points have settled on for general release. It's now available in bottles. So we are reviewing it next week, and we have another guest reviewer with us. From the Drunken Cinema blog, we've got Peter McCary, who not only enjoys a good beer, loves a good film as well. So we'll be talking to Peter about the beer and his love for cinema and boozing.
Very good. You can find us online at beeroclockshow.co.uk. Twitter is at beeroclockshow. Instagram is at beeroclockshow. Untapped is at beeroclockshow. Steve, I'm on Untapped at Roku and on Twitter at Roku Beer. Steve, it's been a pleasure, buddy.
Mate, hang on. Checks the room for guests. It's been the highlight of my week. It's nice to be able to say my own line again. None of the guests jumped in with it this week. We got rid of them before we got to the end of the show.
I was tempted.
It's been the highlight of my week.
I was tempted, but I thought, no, I have to give you this one this week. Right, until next week, mate. Cheerio.